these are excellent. These are excellent. Um, we have two, what you want to see over here is it says tell whether the lines for each pair of equations are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. We have two equations here. We've got y equals negative 1 6x minus 5 and 24x minus 4y equals 12. Now, in order to do this, we have to rewrite the equation in order to see what the slope is for each one. So I'm going to do that here, here, and here for number 37, 38, and 39. Do we have to do it for all of them? No, we don't have to do it for all of them, because this one we already see what the slope is. It's right there. This one, same thing for 38, there's a slope there. 39, there's a slope there. It's the second equation written in standard form that we need to rewrite. So I'm going to write those equations and then zoom in to be able to do the calculations a little better. So for 37, we've got 24x. Actually, I'm already going to zoom in right away. It'll be helpful. Because then I can write a little bit. It'll be a little smaller. So 24x minus 4y equals 12. Okay? And what we need to do is we need to solve for y. So we subtract 24x from both sides, minus 24x, and we get down to negative 4y. That's the only thing that's left on this side. Negative 4y equals, we always put the x's first, negative 24x, and then plus 12, because that's what's written there. Okay? And we need to get it to say y equals, so we divide both sides by negative 4. Really, every separate term needs to be divided by negative 4. And what we get as a result is y equals 6x minus 3. Okay? So I'm going to zoom back out. For number 37, we see, sorry, it's a little funny way of doing it, but we see down here that the other equation is y equals 6x minus 3. So we have as a slope 6. So how do we compare negative 1/6, the slope for the first one, and 6, the slope for the other one? Well, these are actually negative reciprocals. If you remember, one way to know is to flip the fraction and change the sign. So if you flip negative 1/6 and then change the sign, you get 6 over 1, or just 6. So they're negative reciprocals, or opposite reciprocals. Another way to do it would be to multiply them and see if you get negative 1. Negative 1 times 6, negative 6. Sorry, that was funny. 6 times 1, 6. If you simplify that, you get negative 1. And that's what you should always get if you have negative or opposite reciprocal slopes. And we do have opposite reciprocal slopes, which means that these lines are perpendicular. Okay? 38. I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to copy the equation for 38 that is not already in the proper form. Let's use blue again, why not? And when I zoom in for 38, we've got 20x plus 12y equals 12. Okay, move that over here, and I'm going to solve for y. So subtract 20x, subtract 20x, and we get 12y equals negative 20x plus 12. And when I divide both sides by 12, remember, you have to divide every term, every separate term. You know separate terms are separated by plus or minus. You get y equals, this simplifies down to, let's see, negative 5 over 3, dividing everything by 4, plus 1. So that's our equation for number 38 in terms of the missing equation that we didn't know what the slope was. Okay? And when I write that up here, excuse me, y equals negative 5/3 x plus 1. And then let's examine the slope. This first slope we have is 5/3. This slope is negative 5/3. There are certainly opposites, but they're not opposite reciprocals. They didn't change the sign and flip it. So they're not the same, and they're not opposite reciprocals. That means these are neither. Okay, and finally we're going to do the same thing for number 39. We're going to copy the equation, negative 6x minus 12y equals 21. Okay. Solving for y, we say, okay, we got to get that 6x to the other side. And we've got negative 12y equals 6x plus 21. And we need to divide everything by negative 12. And you get y equals, this equals negative 1/2 x, minus, divide everything by 3, you get 7/4. Okay? And that's the equation. So if I wrote that in here, we would have y equals negative 1/2 x minus 7/4, and we're really looking for in this case is what are the slopes. So we had a slope on the first equation of negative 1/2, and the one that we just calculated also negative 1/2. That means they're exactly the same slope, and therefore the lines are parallel. So for 37, they're perpendicular. 38, they are neither, because although it's 5/3 and negative 5/3, that's not enough. They're not exactly the same, and they're not opposite reciprocals. And of course for 39, the slopes are the same, so they're parallel. That was long, but 3 problems. Short answer, what you need to do is you need to rewrite any equation that's not already showing the slope into, typically what you use is slope-intercept form, write it into slope-intercept form, and then examine the two slopes. They're either exactly the same, parallel, they are negative reciprocals or opposite reciprocals, means they're perpendicular, or they are neither of those things. And even though they kind of look like they might be related, 5/3 and negative 5/3, that's not actually a relationship that's meaningful. They're not the same, and they're not opposite reciprocals, so that's neither. So, yeah, good luck.